Hello there. I know what you're thinking. Where are you? Well, I'm in the backyard. And because John and the family spend a lot of time out here, I thought it might be a nice place to film this little special episode. This week, due to a combination of procrastination and disorganization and I think a little bit of depression, touch, I ended up not arranging for an interview. And which is really a bummer because my favorite part of this project are the interviews. The things I love to do most are the interviews. But they do take some preparation on my part, and they take sort of genuine generosity on the part of the people I interview. And some people are not very comfortable with it. I think possibly because maybe they are afraid that I'm going to draw them into something terrible, or because they're afraid I'm trying to make money off it, which I'm not, or they're just shy about having their picture taken. All of those things are certainly possible, and I understand all of them actually. For those of you who haven't watched all the episodes and don't know quite what my motivation is here, I think today's story may help a little bit. John and I were loving siblings, but we didn't always get along. We weren't always friends. He was 10 years old when I was born, so I was really kind of an irritant to him for a big part of his early life. I was a baby and continued to be a baby much longer than a kid should be a baby. I was a crier. And I've always been kind of strong coffee, I think, where John tended to charm just everybody because he was fun and funny and always up for something entertaining. He was a good game guy. I've always been just a little bit thorny, problematic. And so we weren't really very sympathetic in our younger days, and we disagreed on a number of issues that eventually we did come to have, if not agreement, at least detente on them. But then we became friends. That probably started our friendship, apart from our love as siblings, probably started the year my dad died, our dad died. I was 19. I just started my second semester of my sophomore year at college, and John was 29 and working in Santa Rosa, and Daddy died very suddenly. And John came to college to pick me up to take me home to the funeral. And we really were, all of us, shattered, just shattered by Daddy's death. I never heard Dean discuss it, but I heard everybody else discuss it, and it just broke us as a family. It broke us, and a big part of our recovery ended up coming from John. Anybody that's lost a close family member knows that you don't really get over it. You just grow through it. If you're very lucky, you become better for having learned what they meant to you. And I think that's kind of what happened to John. We did at different times discuss our last memories of people, and John told me once that one of his biggest regrets was that for both Grandpa Jones, which is Mother's father, and Daddy, his last memory was they were both standing outside his vehicle, talking through the window, trying to tell him a story, and he was kind of rushing away. And John said he really regretted that. And he didn't want to do that anymore. He didn't want to undervalue family. And he really took it to heart. He really did start to do things that the McCollums struggled to do, and he was more like the Joneses anyway. He looked like a McCollum, but his personality was pretty Jones. And that's Mother's side. And he got to where every time he said goodbye to you, he said, "I love you." He was devoted to letting you know he loved you. Even when there were times where we maybe had, got short with each other or had a little spat, he would never let that be the determining moment in our memories. We were to love each other. Because we didn't know. We didn't know when was going to be the last time we were going to see each other. We didn't know when was the last time we were going to talk to each other. And John was not going to let the family unwind for lack of expression of love. He spent the later parts of his years learning to be more and more and more generous and grateful, not just in his heart, but with his words and his actions. He expressed thanks for things all the time. He expressed enthusiasm. I think what prevents us sometimes from expressing our love is fear and pride. Both those emotions prevent us from being vulnerable enough to tell others how we feel about them and how much they mean to us. And John, after Daddy died, he worked hard, walked a long path to be able to say thank you. And attaboy whenever he could. He never lied. He didn't say I love you if he didn't love you. But when he said I love you, he meant it. And he let people know, not just by his words, but by his actions as well. Jackie said how Johnny would come out at Thanksgiving and greet people. That wasn't something that necessarily he would have done when he was 20. That was something he came to do because he was determined to be better and to walk the long path that God gives us all to generosity in his words and his deeds. I sense that a lot of people who knew him saw that in him and were drawn to that in him. You might at first be drawn because he had this amazing, hilarious sense of humor. But then you would get to know him and you'd realize, oh, this is the kind of person that can help me feel better about who I am. So once I was in the same profession with him as a teacher, our friendship began to grow even more. We always loved each other as siblings, but being in the same vocation really did begin to cement that attachment between us. And when I first started teaching, when I felt really discouraged, I would call John because he was kind enough to listen and to tell me stories that encouraged me. In the coming weeks, I know I'm going to have to start telling stories about fellow workers and about administrators and some of them are pretty awful. I mean, I've touched on a few, but some of my stories are sort of upsetting. And I'm not always, I'm not always innocent. I don't know, blameless. I'm never blameless. But John really helped me confront the struggles I was having and encouraged me. And that's what I hope this year will do for others. You know, some of you know you've seen the project from the start, and I thank you so much for paying attention to that. But really, this isn't about money or attention or anything like that. It's mostly about me finding a way, a project that will be a tribute to my kind brother and will make something positive out of the grief of losing him. So hopefully next week I'll have a really fun interview for you to watch, and it'll be full of laughter because that's what he really liked, way more than tears. And I thank you so much for supporting me, and for being willing to spend a little time with me occasionally, and letting me celebrate my brother with you, celebrate teaching with you. That's it for today. I hope you have a lovely rest of the day, and I hope you see me again, you gorgeous people.